All right, so the people who have their upright and divided part done, you know, that should be in your vise. If you weren't here last class and you don't have any, to get you started, I mean, I've got, well, I'll give you the good one. I'm going to fix this swing up a little bit. Here's one here. Did anybody need? You did? Here. I can't, I'm tethered. All right. There you go. This one got bent. There we go. Okay, Okay, I explained this fly the last class called a Patriot. And Charlie Mack from, I think, Furnace, PA, somewhere around the Little J, Spring Creek, Central PA. So it's white wing, red and blue body. And he called for smoke blue. Got that? Right? Smoke blue crystal flash is part of the body, wound on the hook. I use, here we go, royal blue. I just used it one time. I seemed like it worked better for me, but I think it makes a nicer looking fly. It doesn't break up, you know, this gives you a little more contrast with the red. Then I've used this Mylar in Motion, which is a really glittery flash of blue. I think maybe that's one of the ones I passed around. I don't know.
They're hanging on it's right beside you, right.
Okay, is that the one?
Looks like
Maybe. Let's do a little bit of zoom work, you know. There you go. You know, there's that one. I'll keep it there, and it really didn't make much of a difference. I actually think the little wider flash of blue is a little easier to wind on a bigger fly. You know, if you're going to do a 14, I'd go with something a little thinner. How about, here, you just keep it there, and I'll find it. That's the one, I think, with the really flashy.
Rotate your hand just a little bit. Go ahead on. There you go. Come all the way around. Show the split. There you go. Beautiful.
There you go. So I did mine, these ones I'm showing you here, I did with calf body hair. And I explained that a little bit to y'all. You know, the original pattern called for calf tail hair, which is long and crinkly. It's fine, but long and crinkly. And then he changed it to calf body hair. With the calf body hair, I actually think there's pros and cons to this. So calf body hair is what it is, body off the calf. That's really soft and fine, but it does, you know, hold its shape pretty well. You know, you got to be a little more careful with this. Getting the right quantity is a little harder because there's a lot of under fur and short fibers, but it makes a nice neat wing where the calf tail is crinkly and then sometimes it's hard to manage keeping it together. So he eventually, you know, I read somebody's post that he had gone to this. It really doesn't matter as far as catching a fish or how the fly looks. You know, it's what your preference is. But if you guys want later on after we do a couple and you want to do another fly, I brought this along in case you wanted to try it. Or, you know, somebody whose skills are a little more proficient, you know, do a 14 and use this. So there's that. Tails. Tail is brown. Here we go. An old Orvis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, I mean, I've probably had that for years. Yeah, I hardly use brown for tail for anything, you know. So it's normally what we like to use on our dry flies is spade hackle, and spade hackle is off of a rooster neck, and it's usually found on the sides of the neck, and their long, stiff fibers makes great tails. You know, the stiffness, you want the stiffness. You don't want to use saddle hackle. If you got to find long saddle hackle, that fly sits on the water and it bends, it'll cup. You know, it doesn't support the fly. So you want some, well, the problem is through genetics and trying to grow better dry fly hackle to wind, the spade hackle fiber's shortened. So it's really hard. Indian rooster necks, sometimes you can find some really nice stiff stuff here. Or you could just go out and buy these mayfly tails or microfibbits. The tips are already even. You don't have to peel them off. I do want to apologize. I got the brown tails for a class. I got them from Hairline. And I opened up the package. You see how they usually, you know, they'll glue the bottoms. Well, when I opened it up on the card, it came apart. It was like if you took a paintbrush and cut it and let all the fibers fall. So I was home this morning taking fibers together with a glue gun and gluing little, I know. So that was Hairline. I also got them for a light Cahill. So before I open, I'm going to cut it, glue everything together, then take them out maybe and salvage them. So anyways, here we go. So I'm going to start this. First of all, clean up anything I see that's kind of this guy. And again, I got to apologize. I could barely see. So, you know, I'm just kind of using instinct. And here's something too. I'll wet these and kind of get them out of the way. So I'm going to start my thread back behind the wing with the jam knots. Boom. Next, we're going to get tails. Now we want the tails to be in line together, not splayed out all over the place. It's important to support this fly while it's on the water. So I'm going to take, not a,
Lost you there.
hey, there we are. Okay, I see me. Okay. You know, and maybe, I guess, is that dark background better? Yeah. Oop. Okay, this is what I got left on this. Let me try to find it. See, my right is my left and my left is my right. There we go. You know, a decent bunch. You know, don't go too sparse. I'll take this. Now the tips are nice and aligned. So I just kind of eyeball that, pull, keep the tips aligned, cut it down low. Now we've done Catskills before, so how long is the tail? Does anybody know?
Body.
Right, the length of the body, the shank of the hook, good. And this is important in this fly because you can't see this, but I have a fly sitting, can you pan down a little bit? Yep. I have a fly sitting right here. This fly, yeah. See, it's on the table. When it's on a flat surface, that hook isn't touching the table. It's just above the table. And that's why the length of the tail is important. You know, some mayflies have long tails, some have short tails, but for this fly, the tail is important. And together, to support that fly so it sits above the water, on the surface of the water. Yeah, I mean, there's a gap under here. So, there you go. Ooh, what's that on my...
Bring it down a little bit more. Twist the handle a little. There you go. Unlocks it. And so, there we go. Now I can zoom on it. Good.
Yeah. But I don't know if I got something here that's thin enough. But yeah, I
There
mean,
we go.
I could pass something underneath that hook point. And that's the design of the fly. That's why that tail length is important. If it was short, that fly's actually going to be looking up at the sky. If it's forward, or if it's too long, then it goes forward, and then you have where the fly wants to actually then tip all the way head first and, you know, dive into the water. So that's part of the design. So we're going to tie our tail in. So I'm going to get this. I use like my fingernail when I measure. I kind of put I'm pulling. That looks good about right there, the length of the body, almost pretty much the length of the hook. And I'll take my fingernail and just kind of keep it back, switch hands, and put it here. Now we could still adjust this. And I'm just going to take a couple of loose wraps. This is why it takes me long. Yeah, I'm pretty much there. I can actually, I know my body end's there, my feathers are tail tips are here, body end's there. I put that, and you know, maybe I'm long. So now I'm going to actually shorten this, but when you shorten it, make sure you grab both sides so you can go back and forth. You do one side, then grab. Sometimes the fibers will end up uneven, like you. And I know I just need to tweak that a little bit, and I'm good. So now I can pull and tighten that a little bit. But now I'm going to take these tail fibers, and I'm going to hold them up and a little bit towards me. And the reason I'm doing that is because we all know when we wrap the thread, it wants to grab those fibers back around the hook. So to keep that from happening, and the other thing I do, and I think it was A.K. Best that had that, notice I didn't put a thread base to the back. That helps keep these, when I tie these down, if something does slip around the side and the feathers come out away from you, with that bare hook, you can just pop them right back. If you had a thread base, then they're locked in. So and you want these feathers to be in a tight bunch, not spread out. So you hold that a little bit up and towards you, and man, I wish I could see better, but I'm going to go, yeah, we're looking good. Now, here's a good way to find out where to stop, where the end of the shank is. You can go, I got a stray here that got loose. Okay. If your tail starts to bend down, that's still not too bad. Yep, right there. So I'm just going to take that one off. Eyesight, good lighting helps. And that's your tail. And good. I can rotate this. You see how everything's bunched together? They're not all splayed out. If I were to really torque those last ties, it's going to crimp there and flare. So I don't want that. Now, it's important where to cut the ends of the tails. When we tied our wings in, we cut the butts at a 45. So we had a taper down. Well, you can put that right on top the taper, kind of counter that taper, and it'll give you a nice smooth, and this is kind of why I like these microfibs, because they're stiff and they stay together. I could just slip my, right there, and I can wrap that, and that makes a nice smooth transition. So now our next step is to put the body, but before we do that, we're gonna look at our bodies and make sure it's smooth and nicely tapered down, which I can't even see what I'm doing right now. So I think I'm doing it. Well, that's the problem here is like I do a fly here and then I pull it out and look at it and I was like, oh, not too good. I mean, I could have done better. So we're gonna go back to the tail. I got my body. Look, does that look smooth, Ben?
Yeah, it looks.
All right.
You've got about 5 pivots coming out your head.
Do
right
I?
Between your wings.
Oh yeah, look at that. Thank you. One of these, I've tried different cheaters, bifocals, magnification. Look at, you know, I have this. I mean, I use this a lot. I haven't found the right magnifier, plus tying with the magnifier in front of me, it's, I'll come up with some, or get my eyes fixed.
Need an alt-light. Just
Okay.
a light. It's got like 10 times magnification with the light already built in around.
Yeah, I've been looking at, but the thing is, I don't want to order one and not like it. So I've been going around, you know, I went to like Joann Fabrics, Michaels. There's one at a fly shop, but damn, they wanted like $160 for, you know, and it wasn't much better than the one at Michaels. So, or not Michaels, but Joann Fabrics. Okay, so now my body choice. I got to decide which one I want to use. I'm going to use the royal blue because I'm superstitious, and that's the one I was catching all my fish on during that March brown hatch. Oh, here's a good trick. So you get the crystal flash. And you know when you pull it out, it twists and it just, you know, I could pull it out. It kind of gets unmanageable. Especially, you know, you get those twists in and it, I'll give you a listen. But you pull this out and it's going to be all over. I cut a little V on the top. So when I just pull everything out. I pulled these out too far. There we go. I pull everything out the little V. And then when I put them back in, I put them back in through this side. It just keeps everything neat. Which I'm not a neat freak, so, but it's, you know, when you get this stuff and it's got the twist and everything and you want it straight, so that's how I manage that. I'm going to cut one piece. And for me, mostly because of my vision, I double it, or you could tie one piece. You can wrap this with one piece on touching or slightly overlapping turns, but I can't even see that. So I use two pieces, and again, even the tips, tie that in, you know, somewhere about the middle, just enough that we can secure it. Now I grab the crystal flash and the tail, and I do the same thing. Do the same thing here. Deck is kind of up and towards me. Oh, like that. So now we're going to divide the body. And this is where you just kind of have to eyeball this up. We're going to have blue, red, blue. Or blue with the red band in the middle. So, and it's going to stop right here, right about where the bulk of the wing material is. That's where our hackle's going to start. So I got here, here. So I just, you know, you just kind of eyeball that up. So you can take both strands, keep them together, and if they have a tendency to separate on you, and you just can't seem to keep those two together, and you'll see once you start that all of a sudden, like one piece is here, one piece is here as you're wrapping, they'll separate. Wrap one piece, tie it down, then go on the other piece and fill in the gaps. In fact, I'll do it that way. The other step is, if you really can't see, this is actually how I do it. I actually tie it in here, wrap it back, then wrap it forward. I could have done it that way too. And I'll just keep it together, it'll be quicker. See, I'm already.
You can also use hackle pliers at this point, grab a hold of that,
Oh,
so that it'll help you control it instead of using your fingers.
everybody got one of these today. I have. The only thing with two pieces is one maybe tighten and the other one's got a, you know, a little bit of slack in it. So what I'm going to do is I probably should have wrapped this back just a tad farther. That's okay if you got a little tiny bit of red tail going through. Advance it.
What I'll do once in a while too is I'll leave my thread back there.
Yeah, I'm
Use that thread as tension against that blue, so it will advance with the thread and
Yes.
keeps everything nice tight together.
I usually do that on the second part.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try that. Thank you, Daryl.
I do that with pizza. All my materials that I want nice tight.
So you're going to put a little bit of a stretch on this.
And you're using the
Yep.
Flashaboo to move the thread forward underneath it.
Right, but I'm still.
It really
I
helps
can't-
when you're using two pieces of anything.
Yeah. See how I separated here? Another reason why, like I'll take one piece, wrap it back, and then wrap it forward, but maybe right now. And then what happens where it separates is when I go around the hook point. You know, do that forward and backwards motion, it just tends to do that. So right now I could probably, and I tell you what, if you got a rotary vise, you know, I'm not gonna, let's rotate the vise.
I can zoom out if you want to show them how to do that. But
Now, I actually, well, yeah, go ahead and zoom out. I'm going to put this, get these two back together.
okay.
I'm
Just the
going to
vise
advance.
and
Right. So let me see how this is. Oh, that'll work. So they do make a cradle for this to keep your thread out of the way. Right here, this is so much easier. I'm still separating, but I mean, it's you can see why rotary vices are nice, especially when you've got a little bit. So we can, I'll put that back in advance, and I'm going to do one at a time because I'm struggling keeping these two together. I started well until I tried to explain the other way, but kind of why I like this other flash would be I use this a little wider, a little easier to see. There we go. 3. Yeah, that should be enough right there. Throw that over. And I'm really gappy, so that's where I come in and just I have no idea if I'm covering up the red or not.
you did.
I didn't?
You did.
Okay.
Your butt section is clear.
Boom. I think right about there. 1, 2. Now, I don't have to keep adding more wraps to this because now we're going to add our red base. And you want the, you know, the thickness of the tie to be even with the body. I think I'm pretty much there. Yeah, get it the same diameter. There we go. And I think that's going to be about where I want it. Yep. So now, let's start with the blue again. And we're going to do our blue till we get that little hump behind the wing. You go past it too and then just cover it with thread. I mean, if you go too far, that's fine. Just don't want to be short. And I got to tighten this up. Cut off the excess. And that's your body. Now, next is the hackle. So before I do the hackle, I'm going to look at the front of my fly. And if you used a lot of thread up at the front, you're going to end up with something that looks like that going to the hook point, a ramp. You don't want that because as we wrap that hackle on the front, it's going to want to slide to the hook eye. So you want, you need to have that a little evened out. And if it's not, now's the time to like flatten that area out a little bit.
Let me ask you one question here.
Yes.
While you're right here. On your fibbits,
Yes.
do you want them coming straight out the back of the fly, or do you want
Yeah,
that
I'm
little?
a little bit, no, I'm a little, because I looked like I was good.
I think you pinched it down when you came back with your.
Well,
with your
what it
flash.
was that little flash boot, but I'm going to be fine.
You
I'd
see
rather
how
have
it's
it pitched
angled
down a
slightly
little
down?
bit more than straight.
Very good.
I saw that after, but I didn't want to redo it. It'll fish. So now is the hackle. And we're going to use 12 brown or 12 dark ginger. Either works. Either looks good. So we have this really nice saddle, Metz saddle here. And what I'm doing is I'm looking to where, usually at the end, your feathers there's a little longer. And the stem is going to be a little thicker there. You don't want to tie with thick stem stuff. I'm going to cut that off. Now here's the question. This hackle, it's cupped. You got a concave side and a convex side. Which side do you want, how do you want the hackle to lay? Do you want it to lay slightly back or slightly forward? If we want it straight up, and one trick is to add a very, very thin coat of dubbing in here. Let it sink in the dubbing and it'll kind of go straight up. But that's just an extra step that I don't find necessary. Pros and cons. Having the hackle going forward this way gives it good support. But as you get towards the head and you tie it off, you get those fibers that want to go over the eye of the hook. And going back is fine too. It still is fine, but then you kind of get these stragglers that go behind the hook. So I always thought it's easier to trim out those ones than it is to trim out the ones around the eye. But, people have their preferences. I'm going to prepare my feather. I'm just going to get enough of the butt of the feather that I can make a couple wraps behind the wing and 2 wraps in front of the wing. I won't have to snip the end of the hackle feather. And I'm also going to take out some more, that first wrap that goes around. I want to start out on with bare stem. So I don't get all that big splay out the back. You're still going to get some, but. So I'm going to line that up. And that stem right where the feathers start is where I want to tie. I want to keep this flat, and you notice the stem of this feather ends behind the eye. There's nothing to clip off now. So I got a couple wraps here. I go back here, and I hope I'm hitting that. I can't see, but boom. And then I'm going to advance the thread to where I want to finish the fly, you know, plus that little hook or bare hook we leave. And now, whoop, see, I didn't think I got that.
You ever cut the hackle fibers down?
Makes it look like a little cone.
What's
Cut
that?
them down enough so it looks like a cone.
Pre-cutting with leaving just a
Yeah.
couple fibers at the
No.
end of your bare stem.
Helps
No.
lock everything in.
Oh, no, hold on, let me go. I'm already back here, I need to go right here. See, but man, this is where I think I
Yes, a lot
caught
of
it,
people do that, to answer
caught
your
it,
question, yeah.
caught it. Get to the front. I think I caught it. Get that nice, even on the front. Pull, I'm good. So my first wrap is a little bit of a bare stem. Had I started right with the feather, you're going to get a bunch of barbs that go straight back to the tail. So now I'm going to butt right up against the blue. So that was my second. I got 3. And I'm trying to do touching wraps. And I'm getting close to this wing. I'm going to kind of do a little wiggly. Not so I don't trap the wing fibers. There's 4. Now I can hold these back a little bit and get here. And I'm going to try to get 4 turns. Now if you've got hackle at home, an old mats or something, you're actually going to tie in 2 feathers. You're probably going to do a few turns because it's sparse. You know, those old hackles are real sparse. So, you know, these 4, I got a lot of barbs out of 4 turns. You know, that old stuff, you do 4 turns and there's hardly anything there. So now I'm going forward, trying to touch. And then once in a while, if I get something leaning forward, I'll take, got a bodkin here. You can take your bodkin. There's a hole in the back. You can kind of push some fibers back, you know? There. So you don't trap any of those out. 3, and I think I got 1 more here. I could do 1 more. That looks good. And then I'm going to bring this up, and again, now I'm going to push those fibers back behind that stem. And you're not going to get them all, but comb that back, and we're going to tie this off. And actually, there's 2 good turns right there. I got to tighten this up. I don't think I missed that. There we go. No, there we go. There's 2 good ones there. And then trying not to trap any fibers. Wow, it's really loose. Boom. Jam 2 wraps up against that stem. So it's pretty much straight up. That locks it in. I don't need any more wraps. That's not going anywhere. Make sure I don't have anything over the hook eye. The worst thing is you've got one of these little barbs is right in line with your hook eye. Then you're out fishing and you're trying to thread it and you can't, and you got there, and then you're trying to get rid of that thing on the stream, you know? You know, I'm sitting there with the, yeah. So, and another reason why we leave that hook gap here too is that when you finish the fly and like, oh, you got no room for a knot. You know, so you just whip it on there and then that thread works up and covers half the eye. And now you're trying to get, you know, so this. This is good. Now I just want to snip this. And I do that. I finish on top, so it's nice, gives me a nice, easy place to snip that. It's okay if we snip a few more fibers off the top. You know, I could see, boom, we're good here. We're good here. Now, I know if I do a knot, I may trap some of these fibers right over the eye, and I hate doing that. So I don't use a whip finish, because, especially with I use my bodkin here. And I just put one here, kind of roll, you don't want to go slack, kind of roll it, stop it right where you want your knot to start, and this will push those fibers back. Boom. And you go there, and it almost straightens those fibers right back out. Now I can just add a couple of these. No, this is flat. So here, another thing too. I'll do this. Boom. I'm going to twist that. Actually brings the diameter down too, and a little more better strength for your knot. There we go. Now I'll finish it off with this. I sure hope it came out nice, because I can't see it. I can't even, I think I got it. Okay, so now, head cement. It helps. Like I said, if I'm going to tie 6 of these and I do the wings first, one thing I do is cement that base of that V shape. Upright and divided wing, that V right here. I'll put a drop of glue right there, keeps it locked in. I don't know if I did that on this or not. A drop here on the body. It'll darken for now, but I put in, get my wings, I put a drop right there at the base of the wing, and then I think I'm going to hit it. Boom. A drop here. Now the worst thing too, you cement that head, you get on the stream, you can't. Okay, you can't get your thread in there because you glued the eye shut. You know, so it's nice. Give me a piece, or that piece of hackle here.
Everybody see it from the front?
You got an old used piece of butt section, or a piece of, here it is, the hackle, like an old one. Nice thing to do is run that through the eye, grab it, pull it out, wipe it off, you know, nice little eye cleaner. I kind of blow through there, and I don't, it looks clear. So now we're pretty much done, except we kind of tune this fly. First thing I do is any stragglers going backwards, I kind of like a nice straight perpendicular line. You know, I don't want to conceal the body, so I'll get some of this out of the way. There's one here, boom, and then this one. I watched George Harvey do that one time, tying a fly. It's like, man, he spent a lot of time after he tied it, just getting it neat. And then up here, now, you think we're done, but one more thing. We want our fly to land properly on the water. Maybe I could just bring up this box here. And I could see that this fly yeah, you know, I got a gap, but you see how it wants to roll over? We can tune it. It means if it's rolling over one side, I got a little more hackle on one side of the fly than the other. And so it's going to roll to the short side. But what I can do, take my scissors, and you get that fly sitting dead straight in front of you, and you clip a very slight, here I can see this guy here, just a slight V. And that should get that fly, I hope, yeah, to sit the way it wants to, you know, the way you want it to. Drop it. Darn it. That's always, well, there he goes. That's always a good test, but I need distance. Is drop your fly and you're hoping it lands just like that. You know, if I've got my wings too forward, it's going to nosedive. That's please, upside down. That's okay. I mean, it'll let. There it goes. Not too bad.
So does anybody have any questions about the tying of this yet? No?
Go ahead and here, take that little holder.
You don't wanna spend.
If you guys want to use that as a model, I got more. I got another one here.
It'll last you for 10 years. Same
Well, here's the thing with the paintbrush, is you're gonna have. It's hard to find because I went that route. There, that's better. We went that route with the paintbrushes. The diameter of those bristles are usually a lot thicker than this. And they have a tendency to kink. Like after you catch a couple of fish.
That's the Harbor Freight.
Well, yeah, but if you're gonna spend a ton of, you know, if you're gonna buy the real expensive brushes, just,
I'm talking about the Harbor Freight in Erie. It's better. No, but
Ta-da.
if you're a
Yep.
penny pincher, you know, that's the route you might wanna consider.
guys, I'm done.